pretty good fireside chat. So, ek dink let's go. Goeienaand, good evening, dumelang, bonjour, goedenavond, and nazdarovie, as they say, I think somewhere in Ghana. So, very welcome to Lead Your Way. Lead Your Way, Pietro, welcome. Baie welkom from Kiwi land. Wonderful to see the globe represented here. And we've got an international audience who will receive the recording, and I've got my own personal fly here in beautiful Bloemfontein. Welcome to Lead Your Way with all the M's, M. And before I dive into the M's, I would like to start with a story. Story is such a core part of my life. So, once upon a time, the unhappy person went to a friend's house, knocked on the door. The friend opened, seated the unhappy person. Snacks and tea were served. Chats happened, the how do you do's, and then the serious stuff came up. And the unhappy person said, "I'm so unhappy." So the friend took the unhappy person to a mirror, put the unhappy person in front of the mirror and said, "Look deeply, look with intent. Keep looking. Tell me what you see." And after a while, let's say half a minute, the unhappy person said, "From a certain point onwards, all I see is my unhappy face in front of the mirror or in the mirror." And the friend took the unhappy person to the window, drew the curtains, and let the unhappy person look through the window. The friend asked, "What do you see?" The unhappy person said, "There's a park across the street. Didn't notice it when I arrived. And all of a sudden I'm seeing it. Oh, there's an elderly lady struggling with her bags, the burden of her bags. Somebody should rush to her aid. She's really having a hard time at it. Oh, there are children playing. Oh, there's a boy, he's fallen. Looks like he skinned his knee. He's crying. Somebody should tend to him. Somebody should care." And then the previously unhappy person said, "Wow, all of a sudden, I'm no longer unhappy. What could that be?" To which the friend answered, "When you stared into the mirror for too long, your vision became blocked by the silver. When you stared into the mirror for too long, your vision became blocked by the silver." Now, this is one of my cornerstone stories, which I use with so many training and coaching and mentoring interventions. And of course, the aha moment is the escape, the edification, the feeling of wind beneath my wings, that lift from the depressed state. Oh, I feel better now. My state has shifted to, I feel better now. I no longer look at myself and my own circumstances, etc. My vision is less blocked by the silver. I see someone else who's in need. It makes me feel better. So this is the nice moment of the story. However, what the story doesn't tell us, and this is a major invitation which I would like to direct at you here around the digital fireside in these moments, is it's one thing this evening to go through the Lead Your Way Mondays, models, money, and meaning, and have these moments of, now I feel better. I see this in a different way. Werner gave me something to think about, something to jog my thoughts, etc. However, the story doesn't tell us, the unhappy person's story doesn't tell us, did the unhappy person say, "Hold on, friend, I'm going to exit your place now. I'm personally going to go across the street and help the elderly lady, and then go to see if the boy with the skinned knee is okay, or if there's a responsible adult close by to tend to the wound." And that is the great invitation I want to direct at you is, yes, it may very well happen that as I go through my metaphors, I drop the metaphors, the thoughts, or the thought-provoking questions at you. I might even suggest actions, and that it might make you feel better about something in your life. at work, in your business, whatever the case may be, my invitation to you is to make a physical note. I trust you have some writing instruments with you. I've got my weapon of mass creation here, my in-between sized black book with the deadliest weapon of all. Pen is mightier than the sword. That you write down some new actions that you're going to try. And so yes, may you see what needs to be done in your own journey, as well as for those outside of you with new perspectives, and decide to take the actions and reflect on the actions. And then that's where the real shifts take place. So that's my invitation to you. Take the feeling better, convert it into action, which means I'm going to share my screen. Like such. I trust that Lead Your Way is front and center. For all of you, lead your way. You know, I've told you the story of the unhappy person, mirrors and windows. This is what I do. When I have conversations with fellow human beings, I hold mirrors and windows in front of you. So mirror to look in, windows to look through. And there's always that balance to strive for. And just almost a caveat, leaders, often when I ask who here sees themselves as a leader or not, then I intermittently see hands raised, etc. However, it's just logical proof, or I can prove it logically, that everybody is a leader in her or his own right. You are the leader of your life, the leader of your story, the writer of your story, the lead actor in your story. You are the director of your days. You are the observer. It's wonderful how life has been designed and put together, that we can be all these things. However, the leader of your own story, the why do you do things, the what to do from moment to moment, the how to take moment by moment in your day, in your life, that's your prerogative. You are the leader of that. Clear and simple. So everybody is a leader. And also, if we open our eyes, every single one of us has people around us that look up to us. In our personal sphere, in our professional circles, as well as in public. Moments in public, in traffic, in shop queues. There are always people looking at what other people are doing. We are modelers by design. That's why I've brought the model M in as well. So a promise from my side is, if you take the suggested actions and think about that and consider this elements of this evening seriously, you will most certainly experience concrete results that you haven't experienced before. And a result is very easy. A result in your life can only be an event and or a numerically measured outcome. So typically the Christmas feast which happened, the kilograms that might have been added to our totalities over the festive season, a result is very simply by end January that the scale will be back to 15 December or 30 November readings without any cheatings allowed. So a result can only be an event and or a numerically measured outcome. And my promise to you is, if you take the invitations to action seriously in these moments, then you will be able to measure results, new results in whatever is important to you. So on to the M's. I promised the M's. It's like mbop. The song comes to mind. Tell me why I don't like Mondays, which some of you might know, or just another manic Monday, oh way ho. That song, Mondays, we're going to talk about Mondays and the metaphor that Mondays represent, or the metaphor that Monday is. The word Monday is, we're going to talk about models. The Right Said Fred song, I'm Too Sexy, comes up. I'm a model, you know what I mean. All of us are models. All of us operate models, and I'll prove to you that not only are you a leader, you are a model, and you operate models. I'm going to show you some mirrors and windows to the models that you are and the models that you operate. Money, the ABBA song, money, 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 must be funny in a rich man's world, or must be taste like honey in your very own world. Maybe new perspectives to money. And then this beautiful culmination term, meaning. Meaning at individual level. I'm going to work hard here in these moments to show you mirrors and windows to what meaning is, what your definition of meaning is in terms of your own life. So let me get into Monday mode. Mondays, and I chose Mondays because of Blue Monday, and simply put, if you are suffering from Blue Monday syndrome, oftentimes people I work with, they play, relax, let their hair down if they have hair, to a great extent over the so-called weekend, and they forget that Monday can be a strong beginning. So weekend can be transitioned into a strong beginning for the new week if we really take care of ourselves over the weekend as well. Sometimes the rest and relaxation is too much over the weekend and too little during the week. So it could be as simple as bringing a little weekend into every day, and bringing a little planning, a little professionalism, or little professional activities, even pro-am hobby activities, which feel like work, into the weekends. Weekends oftentimes are like the Christmas break, which for many is a very depressed period, a very blue period, because it's 17 Sundays in a row. And we're not built for that level of silence. Silence is really something that doesn't really exist. And the best we can often do is to have a dynamic kind of rest. So Mondays as a metaphor for problems, pains, challenges, unfulfilled needs, brings me to what is a problem? And if you look at your life, we're going to talk about the model of most human lives. What is a problem? A problem, or a pain, or a challenge, or an unfulfilled need is oftentimes someone, something, oftentimes in me, resistance in me, maybe resistance outside of me, preventing me from achieving something. So the something that I'm being prevented from achieving, often we are so focused on what are our problems, what are our challenges. When we look at me and my own relationship with myself, my health, my wellness, my wealth, how long would I like to live? How long would I like to make a contribution? Would I like to retire at 60 or 65, or would I like to refire and go on to 90, 95, 107? These things that mull inside me. If we are honest with ourselves and we say, okay, I've got this health problem, or this wellness problem, or in my money making, the money is flowing out faster than it's flowing in, or there's a timing difference, or if I'm choosing a 60 or a 65 retirement age, and I'm not thinking about what will I do with the 30 or 35 or 47 years after that. People are living so long these days. Then it could be these unconscious forces inside me which keeps me in problem mode. It keeps me in struggle mode. It keeps me in almost adrenalized mode. However, if we can just slow things down regarding a problem with ourselves and then say, okay, what is the problem? What is it preventing me from achieving? And that which I'm prevented from achieving, how do I feel about that? In other words, how do I feel about the goal that I'm trying to achieve, that this problem is now preventing me from achieving? And that's something I love to. That's a slow down exercise, which I'm going to invite you to do, to take your weapon of mass creation, your intermediate sized, whatever colored book, write in your own hand, because it's really neurologically very good for you to write in your own hand a conversation with yourself, me, myself, and I. And do for yourself a problem map, a map of problems. Map your problems. Map your problems. And then when you think about your relationships with self and others, you think about your health, you think about your wellness, you think about your money affairs, you think about your meaning, you think about your life's major calling. And we're going to touch on this a little bit more throughout this conversation as well, which at the moment is a monologue. Please, if you do have questions, jot them down. I'm going to have a dedicated Q&A section that I can do my soapbox thing, and then we'll do a proper Q&A towards the end. You can think about your major calling. Have you seen your major calling? That major rainbow. This is the reason that I was born. And oftentimes we're so busy with life and the operating issues of our day by day that we forget that we were each blessed with a divine word written on the flip side of our hearts, which really defines our unique calling, our unique instrument, the unique instrument that we are as an extension of the Creator's work, to get spiritual for a moment. So have you seen your major calling, for instance? What's preventing you from truly seeing that with 8K or XK clarity? Then you can map your problems in terms of momentary calling. The beautiful thing about life is we can see this major rainbow, or this major clear picture that this is that I'm striving towards. I'm directing as much of my time, energy, mindset, and resources in this direction day by day, and steadily I'm building my road never traveled before en route to a major dream. Yes, we can see that. And then the washing needs to get done. As in our case, we recently had our washing machine serviced. It needs to get serviced because Monday is washing day. So that the major calling in tension with momentary calling. So my challenge to you is make a map. And I mean, take some time. Take some time. Take a few journaling sessions. Go quiet. Go into a quiet space and really think about it. And then map out your problems, your challenges, frame it for your life. And then once you've done the problem map, then what are you being prevented from achieving? So going back to the basic example of our festive season with the Christmas cake and the Wartlemoen and the family with a just 24/7 feast coming through for 8 days, in my case, in Bloemfontein. And then a scenario where, for instance, additional kilograms were added to my totality as a just very general and simple example. Then question is, okay, I'm now 8 kgs more. Let's say I'm 8 kgs more than a certain time in the past. Question is, why? What am I being prevented from doing by this 8 additional Ks? And this is, once again, it's almost like the story of the unhappy person and the mirror and the window. This is that moment where, yeah, you can see the problem. Okay, yeah, I want to drop kilograms, or I want to add rands to my bank account, or I want to really start working on a tense relationship at work, etc., etc. You know, you can have that sense, but when you get to what are you being prevented from doing, that's where the magic happens, as the magic would happen in that story. If the previously unhappy person would say, excuse me, lovely friend, thanks for the mirror and window. I've got some people to help now. You know, I'll come back for tea later. So this is the magic when you say, I've done my map of problems, challenges, pains. I've been really honest with myself. Then for each of these, and I mean, some of them, you might see duplications. You can then combine them, integrate. You can even scrap some. We say, no, that's in the light of this major thing, that minor thing is no longer an issue. You can even do that. And once you get your clear picture and you say, what are you being prevented from achieving? That's the magic where you say, should I really care about this problem? So being totally honest with yourself, accepting that and that and that and that and that is a pain, is a problem, is a challenge, is an unfulfilled need. Blurt it out. And then when you see what you're being prevented from achieving, that's the magic where you say, should I really care? And then you say, but okay, this problem truly, and to give you an example of the what did happen in my life some 3 years ago, 21 kilograms ago, I dropped 21 kilograms in just over 3 years. And one of my major reasons was my son is so wonderfully active and we play such wonderful games together, but he was starting to outpace me and outrun me and sort of outlast me in our fitness games. And I said, not on my watch. And I said, that is a fantastic reason for me to say, make some changes on a number of fronts to drop the 21 kgs. And now it's a question of my son and myself can go the distance. And what a joy. He's turning 12 today, by the way. We're waiting for cupcakes for dinner. And, you know, what a joy to say, okay, I can now go jogging with him, go soccer playing with him, etc. So this is my challenge to you. Take your weapon of mass creation and a pen, that problem map of yours, link it to what that goal is that you've been prevented from achieving, and then that magic of, should you really care, and do you have a good enough reason to want to work on the problem? Otherwise, changes are going to be slow, or changes are going to be non-existent. So enjoy this conversation with yourself, this mirror and window conversation with yourself in terms of your Mondays as a metaphor for your problems, pains, and your challenges. And what gets born from that is a map of your goal structure of what you are trying to achieve. And this is also in terms of languaging, so wonderful. You're going to arrive at then, let's call it a constructive goal map. So instead of saying you want to, in my case, you want to lose weight, you start saying, I want to play with my son and I want to last the distance. What a wonderful way to talk to yourself instead of this sort of numeric clinical thing of just saying, I want to up that or down that. What do you want to achieve? Okay, so you're going to arrive at a constructive goal map. When you take your Mondays for a proper spin, you take your words for a walk. Models. I'm a model. You know what I mean? We are all models. First and foremost, you have a model for self-leadership. First model that you are is self-leadership. Self-leadership model. And this is once again To become aware of this can be an aha moment, like looking into the mirror for too long. And it's really good to look in the mirror, because you can actually say, oh, I love these features, where I am age-wise and weight-wise and whatever. You can grow to love yourself in the mirror. So some healthy mirror looking, over and above the chore looking, is always recommended. But self-leadership, what kind of a leader are you for yourself? How do you talk to yourself when the alarm goes off in the morning? How do you talk to yourself to get out of bed? How do you talk yourself through your chores, your morning routine? Maybe if you commute to work, whatever moments you have laid out in front of you, what kind of leader are you for you? And this is so foundational, because the kind of leader that you are for you, because of the concept of body language being the major contributor to our external communication, wherever you go through your day, you can choose the right words. You can even try to fake the right tone of voice, which make up about 25 to 30% ballpark of total communication. The rest is all body language. So that song, everywhere you go, always take the weather with you. We can change it and say, everywhere you go, you always take yourself with you. And this is the beautiful thing of the kind of self-leader that you are. Are you I have a wonderful example of a mentor of mine. We worked together 20 years ago. And he always said, he took the way his mother was with him to become the self-leader, the leader of his own life. And he always said he would be sitting studying or working towards something, really diligent and industrious young man he was. And then his mother would have this gentle touch. She would come and stand behind him without, giving him a big skrik or anything. But she would just put her hand on that reassuring hand on the shoulder. And no wordy, nothing too verbose, just a word or two of encouragement, a word or two of pride, and then she would leave. And isn't that a wonderful example to say, we have so many models of leaders around us. And if we find ourselves once again challenged to you in your weapon of mass creation and mass discovery, mass self-knowledge, to say, but maybe I am a little bit overcritical of myself. Maybe I am too much of a critic of myself. Maybe I allow my inner critic too much airtime prematurely. So what kind of leader are you for you? And this is the beautiful thing of us humans. We are an inner creative plus an inner critic. The inner creative, the looking at new possibilities or wanting to go into a direction, and the critic, which can say no or can prevent us. And often when we are creating, or we're working on a project, or we're working on something new, or on a plan or a recipe, or we want to make a new patch of flower garden in the yard, etc. Oftentimes we allow the inner critic to come in too early, and then it causes our inner child, that joy of the inner creative, to go and sit in the corner. And then we just in that sulking mode of the critic, which came in too early. So question to you is, what kind of leader are you of yourself? And can you allow the inner critic just a perfectly timed entry? Because we need the inner critic. If I take my own journey as an emerging novelist, it's wonderful to get at the right point, to get into the critical eye of a reader or of a competition judge, that kind of thing, get into that mode after I've done a number of drafts of a manuscript that I'm working on. So often I allow the critic in too early, and then it just becomes this painful thing of, I had such joy in creating a scene, creating a chapter, and now I allow the critic in too early, and then all of a sudden it's just pain. And what is your reality in terms of the dance between I want to do this, and the inner critic coming in and saying, no, can we train the inner critic? This is also a movie reference, Jiminy Cricket as the critic, Jiminy Cricket the critic, in Pinocchio, and it shows so beautifully Jiminy Cricket as the metaphor for the conscience, and perhaps also the inner critic, that we also need to educate and grow with our inner critic, our conscience. It's not just something that a part of us that was born mature. It must mature with all our faculties. So, question number 1 for your self-journal discovery: what kind of self-leader are you? Then the model leader for others, which flows naturally. Leader for others, which flows naturally from the model of your self-leadership. What kind of leader are you? Are people like chess pieces for you? What's the thing about a chess board? The chess pieces wait until they get shifted by the leader. Many people model their leadership of others like that. And then they come to me and they're frustrated because they feel that all the work is being funneled up to them as the CEO, who's actually the chess player, because the structuring of an organization is such that the people wait for literally instruction by instruction to move forward like chess pieces. Or, on the other side of the spectrum, are you that inspirer that says, wow, we can agree on what needs to be done if you report to me, or you look up to me, or you're in some kind of follower role for a moment, and then you can say, wow, what do you think? What do you think? How should it be done? After we've agreed on what should be done, because that's the leadership reflex. Leadership for others, what and why is the top level that you can agree with someone that follows you, and then to give them a chance, if that's your speed, to say, what do you think needs to be done? And I'm going to give you some rope. I'm going to give you some 7 days, 10 days to come back with a solution. Bring success your way. That's the other side of the spectrum. So that's another thing for you to think about when you think about what kind of model leader are you for others. And authenticity, which is a very body language thing, it's a very embodied thing, is the way you lead yourself and the way you lead your others. If you lead others, the way you lead others, if there's a major disconnect between the two, it's a great risk for one's personal authenticity. Because once again, everywhere you go, you take yourself with you. Okay, so authenticity is self and other leadership in concert. Okay. Then models of service. Models of service as entrepreneur or employee. A question for your weapon of mass creation, your journaling, your self-conversations is, are you aware of the model that if you're an entrepreneur, for instance, are you aware of the model that you've developed over time? Are you in the typical scenario, and I'm blessed at the moment with a number of really growing businesses in my network, with the phenomenon of we grew into it, we're now very busy, and we are now at that place where 20% of our clientele give us 80% of our complaints, 80% of bad or slow payers. So small percentage that we've let into the door lead to the majority of our problems. Back to the problem map, the challenge map, the pain map. The same with allowing people, building a team. If you are building a team or recruiting in the employment space, this can be business, entrepreneur, or employment. As employee, where you're building a team, you're part of the recruitment processes. We grow, we add people, and then at some point, we come to a place where 20% of the people are responsible for 80% of the outputs, and it's like there's a slow go with the other 80%, and then there's within the 80% slow goes because of the 20% industrious people. Typically we'll have the place where there's a small percentage of the 80% who then give 80% of the problems. So the 80-20, 80-20 as it manifests. So if you look at the model of service that you are operating as your own entrepreneur, structuring your marketing, structuring your sales process and your sales budgeting, structuring your operations, your daily key activities, once again from marketing all the way through to admin and working with people and rendering the service. How do you plan for your costs? How do you plan for the concept between money in and money out? Do you feel like the calm ocean, or is there also sometimes a waiting for the tide a little bit too long for your liking? And this can be in the salary, the personal budgeting space, in salaried terrain, as well as in entrepreneurship. The model that you operate, and model simply means that which you repeatedly do, day to day, week by week. Once again, an adventure which you can undertake is to say, look at a week in your life, follow the money, follow the service delivery. You know, are you bogged down too much by admin? Do you feel you don't get to your core activities, that activities which make you sing, the activities which are your core service delivery, and which also in the employment space lead to advancement in the employer's ranks, and in the entrepreneurship space it leads to an expanding market, because if you hit that bullseye of service delivery. Okay, so this is my invitation to you in terms of your model of self-leadership. How are you with you? Then your model of leadership with others, and then your models of service delivery as an entrepreneur. And I know a number of you around the table are a bit of both. Many people increasingly are becoming hybrid in the sense of, you know, we work for something fixed and we have our entrepreneurial endeavors. And I love the fact that the world is drifting towards that. And I hope you can hear on the tin roof of our carport, beautiful rain here in Bloemfontein. We have been blessed by beautiful rain here this afternoon. So, invitation, do the problem map, get to the problems, pains and issues across your entire life, relationships, health, wellness, money, major calling, momentary, day by day to-do list. You're going to have this beautiful word cloud of problems. How blessed are you to have so many problems? And then to say, what are you being prevented from? What is the goal behind the problem? Then to say, should I really care? And once you're there, you can get to your models and say, leader of me, leader of you. Am I authentic between how I lead me and how I lead and influence you? Or is there major disconnect? And then my models of service, which then brings us to man and woman's search for, like Viktor Frankl said, meaning. Meaning, which is such a beautiful, personal, and this is the final mirror I'm going to hold up in front of you before I end off with a story, or maybe I'll do Q&A before the story. Final mirror I'll hold up in front of you is I will never, sort of stand here or sit with you around a digital fireside like this and say, you should, in terms of the leadership decisions. What I've done here is I say, take your mirror, primarily your mirror, and which is your journal, your weapon of mass creation, and look into the mirror long enough with all these angles to get you to a place where you say, Are you truly achieving your brand of meaningful day? And if I look at life and meaningful life must at the end be broken up into meaningful days for you. So what works for you in terms of meaning? What is meaningful for you from moment to moment? And you might experience a lot of fast forward issues when you do your word cloud with your problems, your problem universe, and to say, how blessed am I with so many problems? Because if we are alert about everything and everyone we care about, we'll see there's a challenge almost everywhere, because we want to achieve so much. And it's so beautiful to get to that place of, man, I have so many problems. I'm so blessed with it. So that's a fast forward effect. And then, and this is why the writing in your own longhand is so powerful. Once you've done the fast forward to that word cloud, you can also slow things down and really stand with, I recently worked with a client in the thick of things, incredible growth over 20 plus years from a matric only, having to enter the world of work, young girl or young lady, meteoric rise in 20 plus years, 27, 28 years, where now absolutely, I'm talking, this business is really punching so high, so way above its level. One of the typical things, in the thick of things with the kids, husband is equally growing entrepreneurially, and in conversation with me, the typical thing of, we literally never see each other. So that's a fast forward moment. It's a fast forward emotion, because in that moment, what she was saying is, I'm really scared that when a few more years transpire, that we'll just say, okay, who are you? And the other person says, who are you? And then just we take the vision we had on the wedding cake, and we just split the two figures on top of the wedding cake. So you might feel this with some of your problems as well. You might say, oh, this is so intense, and it's so important for me. And it's once again so wonderful that you feel it so importantly. This is where the slow down, the breathing, the prayer, the really, just taking a breath, and sort of just breathing, praying about your problem, your challenge, becomes so important. Slow it down, bring the fast forward effect into slow motion. And then what I would like to invite yourself is to make spirit-led decisions from there. And when you do this fast forward of, for instance, your problem map, and then you slow it down and you really just calm down and you take one by one, it's wonderful how the Spirit knows. And you can then also get to a place where you say, wow, I've done this fast forward exercise, the slow motion on every single one that I care about deeply, because there's a worthwhile goal behind it. And then to allow the next step, the next decisions to arise from a place where you will know. This is the beauty of Spirit-led decisions. The Spirit knows. There's a calm knowing to a Spirit-led decision. And this is my invitation for you to wrap up the Mondays, models, money, and meaning discussion. And I've thrown in money at various times. I'm not even going to deal with money too much here this evening, because I want to get to Q&A and respect your time to end off with a story. Any cues? Maybe I've got some counter cues. You can unmute yourself, by the way, if you'd like to enter a cue into the mix.
I have a question about the models.
Yes, Wilma.
At the service, I'm seeing it quite a lot now. People ask me, what exactly do I do? I know exactly what I do, but I'm struggling to put it into words. How do you suggest I start with that?
That's a beautiful question. Vilma, have you identified the challenge? Why are you finding it difficult? Because you have that inner knowing. It's in your, let's say you embody um, what you do. I'm really certain that with you saying exactly what you do, um, that you'll be able to, if someone requests one of your services, you don't have to go and look it up in a book. You just make an appointment and you render the service. Is that as simple as it is? Do you have that confidence? Do you know what you do so well that you can just make a booking and render the service?
Yes, but I
Okay.
think for people outside of the treatment room, I'm struggling to tell them marketing wise exactly due to the fact that it's so different than the people are used to.
That's a wonderful challenge. Is there a is there an opportunity for you um, to demonstrate? Can you make it problem specific? If someone speaks to you about a challenge they have, which is on your terrain of service, uh, and you can actually literally tell them across a coffee or a first appointment table and say, "Oh, this is what we're going to do." Is it going to be that simple, or are you struggling to give them the whole picture of what you do?
If I do like per person, per client, then it's like totally easy. But if I like to speak to more broad term people, yeah, then I need talk to a few different people instead of just one with this case study at the moment.
Are you saying a bigger group of people at
Yes.
once? Oh, okay. That's a nice challenge. Are you are
Mm.
you are you when you talk, when you listen to yourself talk, are you hearing opportunities for you that which you get, which you achieve at individual level? Are you finding that to be something you can scale up when you talk? Because I mean, 10 people are 10 individuals, right?
Yes. No, for sure. For the swimmers that I'm doing actually at the moment, one of the mothers asked me, "What do you do exactly?" so that she can tell the other people. So for her,
Okay.
in her case study, in her son's case study, it makes sense. But how
Yeah.
does she explain it to everybody else? So yeah, I'm struggling getting that wording.
Okay. That's a beautiful struggle and something I think to put in your journal. Um,
Mm.
what I suggest is do scenarios, and I'm sure
Yes.
you've experienced this a number of times. So and perhaps the issue can be oftentimes when we are in the heat of the moment, that's a fast forward effect again, and we want to please, we want to serve in the moment, we want to help that person, help or market to others, we want to educate them as we wish to be portrayed out there. So perhaps this could be a fitness that you can acquire and actually work through scenarios and say, okay, I had that, for instance, that conversation with the swimmer's mother. um, Put it in your journal and see how it comes out differently, and maybe do it before sleep and after sleep. Um, it's wonderful how the subconscious then once again spirit led. Um, when it rises from our spiritual depths, I think if you do something like this, does it feel like something worthwhile for you to attempt?
So you're suggesting taking like a few case studies, write it down, see what comes out of it, take it from there.
Literally write down the dialogue. So you're going back to the scenario and you
Yes.
you describe it, make it like a little creative writing endeavor, and then
Okay.
do it before sleep and after sleep, and see what rises. Will you do that?
I'll do that for sure. Thanks.
Enjoy. Please let me know how it went.
I'll do so. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any more cues that I can
Thank you so much.
attempt to? Pleasure. Any more cues that I can attempt to counter cue or to A? Or is this my moment to close off with a story? Everybody ready for a story?
Yes.
Wonderful. The story's name is The Best Business Plan, aka Nasruddin Takes a Bath. So Nasruddin, Eastern Europe, death of winter, minus 40 degrees. You know, you can't stand still, you'll die. So he rushes to the bathhouse, Eastern Europe, and he enters the bathhouse. And the non-committal, let me just stop share here. And Brunel, why are you showing on my screen? There we go. So the non-committal attendant sits there paging through a magazine, and he looks up, disinterested, and he gives Nasruddin an old rag of a towel. He runs him a lukewarm bath. Nasruddin, after like 3 minutes, he's shivering inside the bath, and he gets out, gets dressed after toweling off with a rag of a towel. And as he exits, he drops a big golden coin next to the attendant. And the attendant jumps up, Jack in the boxes. Sir, what a pleasure to have served you today, and I'm looking forward to your return. And Nasruddin exits. Next day, minus 43 degrees. So, you know, local freezing in the era of global warming. And he enters, and the attendant sees who it is, and he Jack in the boxes. He says, sir, so good to see you again. He runs him a piping hot bath. He serves him snacks and mint tea. He gives him a brand new towel, you know, that thirsty plush new smell towel. He gives him one of those, and he tops up his water. In the end, after an hour and 3/4 of lavish service, and just absolutely, you know, Nasruddin doesn't experience any cold in any part of his biology. He towels off with that plush new thirsty towel, almost like the personal hug, gets dressed, and when he goes past the attendant, he drops a measly bronze coin, ding, next to the attendant. And the attendant is like, sir, please explain this to me. Yesterday you paid me with a big golden coin, and today this measly bronze thing. And Nasruddin says to him, my friend, yesterday I paid you for today, and today I paid you for yesterday. And this is my parting shot. May we each know ourselves so well that we can be worth our weight in gold, and that our gold moments be timed better than the non-committal attendant in the story. Thank you so much for joining me here. I will be in touch regarding a 10-day challenge that I'm starting next Monday. Starting a 10-day challenge to dive deeper into Monday's models, money and meaning. And I'll be looking forward to you joining me on that 10-day challenge into the month of February, the month of love, where I will be launching another webinar about the 8 types of love that our Greek forebears so beautifully described. Obviously, it's the month of love. So until then, may love accompany you. And thank you so much for your participation here in these moments. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Werner. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. That was great. Thank you.
Thanks all.